Another thing that I learned about React and some things that I was understanding, it's really to do simple things, it's not too hard, but you have different views and they're organizing components. So, like, if I go to the React part in the front end, you have your source folder with your components in React. And these are your components, your different views. Um, so right here, app.js kind of routes those views. And I have a lot of global functions because that was the easiest for me. And it worked out pretty good. I still have some local functions too, but like log out, check out, those are pretty global because you need that all around. At least for my case, that's how I did it. So basically, here's how it goes for React. You have your imports at the top. You always have to import React if you're going to use React. You have your function, because I'm using functional React, the name of your file or your component. And then you have your constant variables here. State is how you update or change the state. Think about like a form, like a login form or a register form. Things that the user is going to be changing and needs to keep track of is for state. And then also something that's really frustrating about state that I ran into a lot is that if you're using variables in the back end that are going to be calling the back end as a parameter as one of your state variables, the state variables update asynchronously, meaning they're not always going to update right away. And that happened to me like with the balance. I was trying to use this state variable for the balance and really it wasn't getting updated, but it wasn't because it was just how React works. So I had to get it from the decoded token instead, or like the UI, to get that to work, and not the actual state variable, the function that calculates the balance after the purchase, you know? And so here are some global functions. Global means that it has access in all your components, and then basically how it works though for the router. You have your router, that's like your outer component, and then inside are your different routes. This is for React Router. It's just basically different views. So you're creating links essentially, and your routes are those links that are going to change, like the views that are going to change. And the router right here before the routes, these are going to be components that are like the navbar. This one didn't really return anything, any JSX that was going to show up on the screen. So this is not going to show up. JSX is like HTML. And then the navbar is the navbar that always stays the same. So that's like the same. That's how the single page application works. And then another frustrating thing about React, or just something to learn, is if you have a lot of components that are nested, you'll see I'm passing functions. Those are called passing props. And that's how I did it. And that can be frustrating. I made a lot of mistakes that way. Like, it's okay once you understand how to correct them, but like I would forget to pass props to certain elements, and then oh, they don't have the function, or they don't have remove from the cart, or a certain thing that keeps track of state, like a variable. And then right here you just have like export default app. So if I show like a simpler page, like maybe the login page, all of your functions go in this portion, like your JavaScript, like Axios is how they did the AJAX calls or the HTTP requests. That's to get data from the back end. And then your HTML for that component goes underneath. And I know the teacher said he didn't like doing it this way, but I guess for me, because I'm so new to this, it wasn't too hard to pick up on it. But I do like organizing like JavaScript files and HTML separate too. Like I think that's nice too. So yeah, that's the application. But anyway, back to the questions. What else do I need to finish? So I got some basics down really well. Something that I want to finish doing is really thoroughly test it. One of my weaknesses is that I really love making things look beautiful, and I love beautifying it, and it just like drives me. So I have it looking pretty nice, you know, like I have like a sidebar, I have a nav, when you go over it, it gets a little bold. I have a login page that doesn't look too bad. The cart, when there's items in it, it looks good. But something that I know I need to manage is that I need to manage working on the functionality more than making it look pretty. Because if I refresh this page, you see the no items found alert that shows up first. And I spent a lot of time trying to fix that. And I think for now I'm just going to accept it that it's not going to be fixed. Probably not for the final because I have other functionality to do. But I spent a lot of time trying to fix that and didn't get anywhere. But something also when I balance doing the project is like learning new things. Like, okay, how do I implement the cart functionality and write it to the database? That takes a lot more energy for me than beautifying it. So like if I originally the login page didn't redirect and it had these inputs still having like this and like my password, you know? But beautifying it made the project look good and also kind of relieved my stress because it looked nicer and that helps me. But I also have to be careful with that. Like right now and just focus more on functionality. So yeah, to finish, I should probably I don't think I'm gonna have time to update the quantity in the cart as well. That might be too hard, but I would like to eventually update, in the database, if the user buys multiple items, it would be really nice to update the quantity in the items table, because I do have quantity here, as you'll see. And then something else that goes along with that, that would be really nice as well, in my opinion, would be to use another role, because I use the auth user and the tokens to log in, but create another type of user in the database that would have the admin privilege that could then restock the cart and the quantity of certain items and get flagged when it's low on stock. That would be a really nice implementation as well, but I probably won't have time for that for this project. I'll see. But I want to test it again and make sure if multiple users can be created. So right now I have this user that exists. I just want to test. So that exists. But if I log out and try to log in and then just register here, I wonder if it would let me create the same user twice, which would be a mistake, obviously. Register. Okay, good. So it can't. But things like that, like really testing. That's because I used the example code and it was well designed for, registering and all of that. But testing would be nice. Would be really nice if I don't add any more. Oh, maybe for the database, maybe validating. It would be nice to probably validate that on the front end the user does an email and a valid password, like a strong password. That would be nice too. Yeah, I'll write this down, but like validating that they do a email and a password, because in AngularJS it's really simple to validate and it's so easy, but in React it's not that easy, so I would have to research it. Let's see. Obviously, I would love to beautify this more, but I think I'm not getting graded on how good it looks. That's what he said. So obviously right now it's not the time to do that. It's just, oops. That's not supposed to happen. Let me see. I'll have to fix that in the back end because I registered a user and got an error. I'll fix that. I know how to fix that. You just need to do an else. But, yeah, just, because it would be really fun. I know when I'm out of school, I would love to just, like, unwind and make this look prettier, maybe even add some CSS. Pink's my favorite color, so probably, like, make this, like, a light pink instead of light gray. Like, that would be really fun. But yeah, not right now. Just probably focus on validation if I have time and if I can figure it out, but it was such a pain. If I can figure out how to get rid of that no items found alert when I refresh the page, that would be really nice too. I don't know if I'm going to get there for this project, but definitely validation I can do. And then as you saw right there, just testing, because this is not supposed to crash and blow up like that, right? So just more testing, like test it thoroughly. And then obviously when the break comes, just, have a lot of fun and just, make it look nice, maybe add more functionality. Yeah, I really like making it look nice. But anyway, back to the other questions. Any tips for other students? The biggest tip I would just say is don't give up, space it out, and start early if you can. Like for me, I started early, and that's how I was able to get this done with React. If I would have waited, I wouldn't have been able to do it in React. And because I started early, I got the Bootstrap pages done before, implementing like the functionality and all of that. And another tip is probably ask for help and use your resources. Google's a great resource, so is YouTube if you're trying to learn something. Also, ask the professor. The professor is really knowledgeable and he always gets back to you when it comes to like questions about how things work. He's very helpful, especially if you start early. And I think something else is really good is like ask your classmates, like if you're struggling with getting something to work, sometimes showing a friend or a classmate, even some, I guess I'm blessed because I know people that would actually enjoy me going through a project with them and saying like, oh, here's my bug, and they can't help me because they don't know the technology, but just like talking out your errors. And because when you talk out your errors and take a break, number one, it's like therapy, you feel less alone. And number two, you notice things you didn't notice before when you're revisiting the code and you're looking at it, and that's really helpful. um yeah, so good luck to everyone on the final project. I'm going to keep working on this and keep testing it. And yeah, it was a great class. I'm really happy and fortunate and blessed to be here. And I hope you all do great on this too, or work great on this too. Thank you so much.